This is the exact moment a millionaire's wife destroyed her own case. One sentence, one mistake, and it was over.
You clearly don't understand business at my level. The courtroom camera caught the very second a millionaire's wife made the worst mistake of her life. Victoria Ashford Sterling, covered in diamonds and dressed head to toe in designer fashion, stood in front of Judge Judy and spoke the sentence that would bring her entire defense crashing down. Your Honor, you clearly don't understand how business works at your level. The courtroom went silent. But what this arrogant woman did not realize was that Judge Judy had already gathered the court records that were about to expose every lie Victoria had so carefully built. What unfolded over the next 15 minutes became one of the most replayed moments in Judge Judy history, shared more than 30 million times across every major platform. This was not simply a dispute over unpaid wages. This was the moment wealth collided with wisdom, the moment arrogance ran straight into evidence, the moment one woman learned the harshest lesson of her life. Never insult Judge Judy's intelligence. Before we get to the moment Judge Judy destroys this woman's lies with one manila folder packed with devastating proof, tell me in the comments where you are watching from. I always enjoy seeing where viewers are joining from around the world. And make sure you hit that subscribe button, because what you are about to witness is a perfect example of why paperwork will always defeat arrogance. This is the kind of justice that reminds people why the system still matters. Now sit back, relax, and listen closely. It is a Tuesday morning inside Judge Judy's courtroom, and at first glance, the case being called sounds ordinary. Emma Rodriguez versus Victoria Ashford Sterling. The plaintiff is Emma Rodriguez, a 52-year-old housekeeper, suing for $8,500 in unpaid wages. But the second Victoria steps through the courtroom doors, everyone can feel that this case is not going to be ordinary at all. She walks in wearing a Chanel suit worth more than what many people pay in rent. In her hand is a $15,000 Hermes handbag, which she carefully places on the defendant's table, as if it proves she belongs above everyone else in the room. Her jewelry flashes beneath the courtroom lights: diamond earrings, a tennis bracelet, rings on 3 fingers. Every detail about her appearance announces wealth, privilege, and complete confidence that nothing in this courtroom can truly touch her. Victoria checks her phone as she makes her way to the defendant's table, letting out a loud sigh, as though appearing in court is an insult to her schedule. When the bailiff tells her to silence the phone, she rolls her eyes and makes a dramatic little performance out of dropping it into her purse. Her posture says everything. Her expression says even more. Every movement communicates the same message. She believes she is above everyone here, including the judge. Victoria is 42 years old and has never held a job in her life. At 25, she married Christopher Sterling, a real estate tycoon, whose fortune is estimated at more than $50 million. For 17 years, she has lived in a world where money fixes inconvenience, where staff members fade into the background, and where consequences are problems reserved for other people. But she is about to discover that Judge Judy's courtroom follows a different set of rules. Standing across from her is Emma Rodriguez, and the difference between the two women could not be more obvious. Emma wears simple black pants and a white blouse, the uniform from her cleaning company. She chose that outfit deliberately, so everyone in the room would know exactly who she is and what kind of work she does. In her hands is a worn binder packed with papers, photographs, and printed text messages. Her fingers tremble slightly, not because she is frightened, but because after all this time, she is finally standing in the place where she can be heard. Emma has cleaned homes for 30 years. She came to America from El Salvador in 1995, worked 3 jobs to support her family, and saved whatever she could to help send her daughter to college. She is not afraid of hard labor. She is not afraid of rich people. But she is exhausted from being treated as though she does not exist, as though her work has no worth, as though her time means nothing. Then Judge Judy enters, and the entire courtroom rises. At 78 years old, Judge Judy is already a legal legend. Before becoming one of the most famous judges on television, she spent 25 years in New York family court, handling thousands upon thousands of cases. She has heard every excuse, seen every lie, watched every manipulation tactic people think they invented. Her reputation for cutting through nonsense is unmatched. She does not tolerate fools. She does not accept weak excuses. And she absolutely does not appreciate anyone who believes they can outsmart her. What Victoria does not know, and clearly did not bother to learn before stepping into this courtroom, is that Judge Judy prepares, always. And the thick manila folder, sitting on the bench in front of her, already contains the evidence that will tear apart every false statement Victoria is about to make. Judge Judy sits down, adjusts her glasses, and looks over the case file. Her face is calm and professional. But anyone familiar with her courtroom knows what that calm means. She has already read the documents. She has already noticed the inconsistencies. And now she is going to let both sides speak long enough to either help themselves or destroy themselves. She looks up at the two women. Mrs. Ashford Sterling. Judge Judy begins, her voice controlled and even. Miss Rodriguez says she worked for you as a housekeeper for 2 years and that you owe her $8,500 for the last 3 months of employment. Is that true? Victoria does not even wait for her attorney. She flicks her hand dismissively, her diamond bracelet catching the light. Your Honor, I own several properties and have many people working in and around them throughout the year. I cannot possibly be expected to remember every single person who has ever worked inside one of my homes. That simply is not realistic. Judge Judy slowly removes her glasses. Anyone who knows her courtroom understands that this is the first warning. So you are saying Ms. Rodriguez did work for you? Victoria instantly realizes the mistake, but tries to smooth it over. What I am saying, Your Honor, is that people come and go, housekeepers, gardeners, contractors. My life is extremely busy. I manage multiple estates, but this woman specifically, she gestures toward Emma without even looking at her. I do not recognize her face at all. Judge Judy turns to Emma. Ms. Rodriguez, what proof do you have that you worked for Mrs. Ashford Sterling? Emma opens her binder carefully as if she has practiced this moment many times. Your Honor, I have photographs of myself working inside her Riverside Drive mansion. I can identify specific rooms, artwork, and furniture. I have text messages from her phone number giving me cleaning instructions. I have a schedule showing that I worked every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 in the morning until 5 in the afternoon. And I have a neighbor who saw me arriving and leaving regularly for 2 years. She gives copies to the bailiff, who brings them to Judge Judy. The photographs are clear. They are time-stamped. Emma in the enormous kitchen. Emma in the library with its floor-to-ceiling shelves. Emma in the master bedroom beneath the custom chandelier that had once appeared in Architectural Digest. Victoria laughs. It is cold, smug, and deeply insulting. Your Honor, with all due respect, you have probably never managed a household staff of this size or complexity. Those photographs could be from anywhere. Anyone can save a number in their phone and claim it belongs to me. Anyone could photograph a house during an open house or a party. Judge Judy puts her glasses back on and fixes Victoria with a stare sharp enough to stop the room from breathing. Mrs. Ashford Sterling, I was practicing law before you were born. I have handled complicated cases involving millions of dollars, custody of children, and situations with life-altering consequences. Try me. Victoria still does not recognize the danger. She continues in the same patronizing voice. I only mean that people at a certain financial level operate differently than what you may be used to in small claims court. Managing staff, handling payroll, dealing with domestic employees. It is complicated. These things are not always simple. Judge Judy's voice becomes quieter. And in that courtroom, quiet is far more dangerous than yelling. I understand perfectly, Mrs. Ashford Sterling. Go on. Emma presents the next set of proof. She shows dozens of messages on her phone. Emma, please make sure the guest bathrooms are spotless by Thursday. We have dinner guests. Emma, use the special wood polish on the dining table, not the regular cleaner. Emma, I need you to come early on Monday, 8 instead of 9. Every message is specific. Every instruction is detailed. Every one clearly comes from someone directing an employee. Judge Judy reads them carefully. These messages go back 2 years, Mrs. Ashford Sterling. They include detailed instructions about your home, your schedule, your preferences. And you are telling me you do not remember Ms. Rodriguez at all. Victoria shifts, uncomfortable now, but she refuses to back down. Your Honor, I am a very busy woman. I delegate communication. Sometimes my assistant sends messages from my phone. Sometimes the household manager handles these things. But I know this much for certain. If I had employed this woman on a consistent basis, there would be proper paperwork, tax forms, contracts, official records, and there are none, are there? She turns toward Emma with a look of triumph, because she believes she has just won. Emma raises another document. I have one check from you, Mrs. Ashford Sterling, from 2 years ago. $1,700 for my first month of work. After that, you told me you wanted to pay in cash. You said it was easier and that you did not want to deal with paperwork. I trusted you. I needed the job, so I agreed. Judge Judy studies the check. This check is from your account. Mrs. Ashford Sterling, made out to Emma Rodriguez, dated exactly 2 years ago. Victoria's attorney tries to step in, but Victoria cuts him off. She is determined to speak for herself. Your Honor, clearly you do not understand the tax optimization strategies that people at my wealth level use. No offense, but hearing small claims cases probably has not exposed you to sophisticated financial planning. Cash payments are common with domestic workers. They can actually benefit both sides. The entire courtroom freezes. Even the court reporter stops typing for a moment. Did she really just tell Judge Judy she does not understand finances? Did she just suggest Judge Judy's experience is limited? Judge Judy slowly removes her glasses again and places them on the bench with careful precision. So you are admitting that you paid her in cash to avoid reporting it to the IRS? Victoria realizes the trap a second too late. I am saying that the cash payment she claims never happened, because she never worked for me consistently enough to deserve regular payment. This is her word against mine. And frankly, Your Honor, you are choosing the word of a cleaning lady over mine. Judge Judy leans back. A small smile appears. Regular viewers know that smile. It means someone is about to be taken apart. I am choosing evidence over arrogance, Mrs. Ashford Sterling. But please, keep digging. Victoria's confidence remains, though it absolutely should not. She truly believes her money, her status, and her designer clothing will carry more weight than Emma's binder full of proof. Your Honor, let us be realistic. This woman may have worked in my home if she worked there at all as casual labor. There was no formal employment relationship, no contract, no agreement. Now she is trying to claim I owe her money based only on her own statements. Where are the tax records? Where is the proof of payment? It does not exist because this employment did not happen the way she describes it. Emma speaks, her voice nervous but steady. Mrs. Sterling, you told me not to report the income. You said it would be easier for both of us. You told me you had many employees and that cash was simpler. I believed you. I trusted you. Victoria laughs again, that same cruel, condescending laugh. Your Honor, now she is accusing me of telling her to commit tax fraud. This is absurd. She is stacking one lie on top of another. I never told her any such thing, because I never employed her in the way she is claiming. Judge Judy raises her hand. Mrs. Ashford Sterling, before you came into my courtroom today, what research did you do about me? About my background? About my career? Victoria looks confused. Research? Your Honor, this is small claims court. I did not think I needed to prepare a dissertation. I am simply here defending myself from false accusations. Judge Judy's smile widens slightly. That may have been your first mistake, Mrs. Ashford Sterling, your very first mistake. Victoria keeps talking, completely unaware of the disaster waiting for her. Your Honor, I want my position to be completely clear. Emma Rodriguez says she worked in my home regularly for 2 years. She says I paid her cash for most of that time. She says I owe her $8,500. Every one of those claims is false. I never employed this woman in any official capacity. She may have been part of a cleaning crew that came to my home occasionally, but I had no direct relationship with her. I do not remember hiring her personally, and I certainly have no obligation to pay her anything. She is trying to take advantage of me because she knows I have money. She assumed I would settle just to avoid the inconvenience. But I will not be extorted, I will not be manipulated, and I will not give this woman a single penny. Judge Judy slowly nods while writing. So your sworn testimony is that Emma Rodriguez never worked directly for you as your personal housekeeper. Victoria straightens. That is absolutely correct, Your Honor. I had no employment relationship with this woman whatsoever. Judge Judy continues. And you are prepared to stand by that statement? You are certain, because once you commit to this testimony, Mrs. Ashford Sterling, you cannot take it back. Victoria's smug smile returns. Your Honor, I know the truth. I know who has and has not worked in my home. I am completely certain. This woman is lying, and I am telling the truth. It is that simple. Judge Judy puts down her pen and folds her hands. It is that simple. Interesting. The tension in the room is now almost physical. Emma looks nervous, but there is a trace of hope in her eyes. Her cousin Rosa, seated in the gallery, grips the bench in front of her. Victoria looks pleased with herself. Her lawyer, however, looks increasingly uneasy, as if he senses what his client is too arrogant to notice. Judge Judy reaches beneath the bench and lifts a thick manila folder. It is at least 2 inches deep, packed tightly with documents and held together by rubber bands. She sets it down with a quiet thud that somehow echoes through the courtroom. Mrs. Ashford Sterling, do you know what this is? Victoria glances at the folder with little interest. No, Your Honor. Should I? Judge Judy slowly removes the rubber bands. These are court records, public records. Records I pulled before you entered this courtroom this morning. Records I have been reviewing while you sat there insulting my intelligence and my understanding of how wealthy people operate. Victoria's expression shifts. Only slightly, but enough. A flicker of uncertainty crosses her face. What kind of records? Judge Judy opens the folder and removes the first document. Let us begin with the most recent one. In 2021, a woman named Lucia Santos filed a wage claim against you with the Rhode Island Department of Labor. Does that name sound familiar? Victoria's hand moves toward her diamond necklace. That was a misunderstanding. It was resolved. Judge Judy pulls out another page. Was it? Because according to the Department of Labor's findings, you paid Miss Santos in cash for 7 months, then stopped paying her entirely while she continued working for you for 3 more months. When she filed her claim, you settled for $11,000. The findings specifically says you engaged in a pattern of paying domestic workers off the books to avoid employment taxes. Victoria's attorney finally speaks. Your Honor, that matter was settled confidentially. It should not be relevant here. Judge Judy looks at him over her glasses. Counselor, your client just testified under oath that she has never had employment problems with household staff. These public records say otherwise. I am establishing a pattern. Sit down. She pulls another document from the folder. In only seconds, Victoria's face has gone from confident to pale. But we are not finished. In 2019, you were sued by another domestic worker named Carmen Gonzalez for unpaid wages. You paid her $12,000 in settlement. The case file, which I read very carefully this morning, describes the same pattern. You hired her, paid her cash for several months, then stopped paying while expecting her to keep working. When she complained, you fired her and claimed she was never your employee. Does that sound familiar, Mrs. Ashford Sterling? Victoria's voice is no longer polished. It shakes. Your Honor, those were complicated situations taken out of context. My husband's attorneys handled those matters. I was not directly involved in the details. Judge Judy's voice cuts through the room. Your husband's attorneys. Mrs. Ashford Sterling, you have spent this entire proceeding telling me that you manage your household staff, that you handle hiring and firing, that you make decisions about your domestic employees. So which is it? Are you the sophisticated estate manager you claim to be? Or are you a woman hiding behind your husband's money the moment your conduct is exposed? Victoria opens her mouth. Nothing comes out. Her lawyer places a hand on her arm, silently warning her to stop talking. But the damage is already done. Judge Judy is not finished. She pulls out another record. And this one is my personal favorite. 6 months ago, you settled another wage dispute. This time with a woman named Rosa Martinez. You paid her $9,000 to avoid trial. Victoria almost whispers. That is a different Martinez. Judge Judy's voice rises for the first time. I know it is a different Martinez. Rosa Martinez is Emma Rodriguez's cousin. She warned Emma about working for you. She told Emma that you were a serial wage thief who exploits immigrant women. But Emma needed the job because she had bills to pay and a daughter in college. Emma has text messages from Rosa saying, "Do not work for Mrs. Sterling. She will not pay you. She did the same thing to me." The courtroom is completely silent except for Victoria's heavy breathing. Her polished image is falling apart. Her hands are shaking. The diamond bracelet that looked impressive when she entered now appears gaudy, almost grotesque. Judge Judy continues, her voice controlled but full of fury. "Let me tell you what I see, Mrs. Ashford Sterling. I see a pattern. A deliberate, calculated pattern of exploitation. You target immigrant women who desperately need work. Women who may not fully understand their legal rights. Women who may be afraid to challenge you because you have money, lawyers, and connections. You hire them and pay them cash at first, which they accept because they need immediate income. Then you stop paying them, while still expecting them to work. When they finally gather enough courage to ask for their wages, you fire them. You know most of them will not sue. They are afraid of court, afraid of immigration problems, afraid of you. And the few who do sue, like Carmen, Lucia, and Rosa, you settle quietly with confidentiality agreements and move on to the next woman. Victoria is crying now. Her mascara has begun to run. Your Honor, please. I can explain. Judge Judy slams her hand down on the bench. Explain what? That you are a serial wage thief. That you exploit vulnerable women who clean your toilets, wash your floors, and make your life comfortable? That you commit tax fraud by paying people under the table? Which part do you want to explain? Mrs. Ashford Sterling? Victoria's voice turns desperate. The cash payments were their idea. They wanted cash because they did not want to report the income. I was helping them. Judge Judy's face fills with disgust. So now you are blaming them too. Now these hard-working women are the criminals. You are not only a liar and a thief, you are also willing to destroy their reputations to protect yourself. How convenient that every woman who worked for you supposedly demanded cash, and every woman who says you owe her money is supposedly lying. Emma is crying quietly at the plaintiff's table, but her tears are no longer tears of fear. They are tears of vindication. For 2 years, she believed she was alone, that nobody would believe her, that Victoria's wealth and position would protect her from accountability. Judge Judy pulls the final document from the folder. And here is the Department of Labor investigation summary from the Lucia Santos case. I will read the official finding. Victoria Ashford Sterling engaged in a deliberate and systematic pattern of exploiting domestic workers by hiring them without proper documentation, paying them in cash to avoid employment taxes and payroll obligations, and then terminating their services without final payment when they requested proper compensation. This conduct demonstrates a willful disregard for labor laws and a calculated attempt to take advantage of vulnerable workers. Judge Judy lowers the paper. That is not my opinion, Mrs. Ashford Sterling. That is the official finding of a government agency. She closes the folder and looks directly at Victoria with open contempt. You came into my courtroom today in expensive clothes and expensive jewelry, and you made the fatal mistake of assuming I was stupid. You assumed that because Emma Rodriguez cleans houses, she was not smart enough to document her case. You assumed that because I am a television judge, I would not be thorough enough to pull public records. You were wrong about all of it. Victoria is sobbing openly now, her makeup streaking down her face. Your Honor, please. I made mistakes. I did not mean to insult you. I was only trying to defend myself. My husband is going to be furious when he hears about this. Judge Judy leans forward. Her voice is ice cold. Then you should have considered that, before building your lifestyle on the labor of women you refuse to pay. You should have considered it before walking into my courtroom and insulting my intelligence while lying under oath. There are many things you should have considered, Mrs. Ashford Sterling. But clear thinking does not seem to be your strongest skill, despite all that sophisticated fanning you claim to understand. Victoria makes one final attempt, her voice breaking. Your Honor, what if we settle this right now? I will pay Emma whatever she wants. Double, triple. I will write the check today. Can we just end this? Judge Judy laughs once, sharp, without humor. Now you want to settle. After spending this entire case saying Emma never worked for you, after calling her a liar and a scammer, after claiming she was trying to extort you, now that your pattern of fraud has been exposed, suddenly you are ready to pay. That is not how my courtroom works, Mrs. Ashford Sterling. You do not get to lie under oath and then buy your way out when you are caught. Emma stands a little taller. When she speaks, her voice is stronger than it has been all day. Your Honor, I do not want triple. I only want what she owes me. I worked for that money. I earned it. I cleaned her house for 3 months while she kept making excuses about why she could not pay me. My daughter needed college textbooks. I needed to pay rent. But Mrs. Sterling had money for a new handbag, new jewelry, another vacation. She had money for everything, except the woman scrubbing her floors. Judge Judy nods with respect. Ms. Rodriguez, you have shown remarkable dignity throughout this proceeding. You came prepared. You brought evidence. You told the truth. You did not exaggerate. You did not embellish. You simply asked for what you earned. That is all any worker should have to do. Then she turns back to Victoria. Her voice becomes formal, final. Mrs. Victoria Ashford Sterling, I find in favor of the plaintiff, Emma Rodriguez, in the full amount of $8,500 for unpaid wages. The courtroom holds its breath. Furthermore, I am awarding Ms. Rodriguez an additional $8,500 in punitive damages for your malicious conduct, your pattern of exploitation, and your perjury in this courtroom. That is $17,000 total. Due immediately. Whispers and gasps spread through the courtroom. Victoria's face drains from pale to almost grey. $17,000? Your Honor, that is excessive. That is punishment beyond reason. Judge Judy raises her hand. I am not finished. The room falls silent again. I am also referring this matter to the Internal Revenue Service for investigation into systematic tax fraud involving multiple domestic employees over several years. Based on what is in this folder, you have avoided employment taxes on numerous workers, which may constitute a federal crime. In addition, I am referring this case to the Rhode Island Department of Labor for investigation into your pattern of wage theft. They may decide to pursue criminal charges, which can include serious penalties, even jail time. And finally, I am ordering that this judgment and all evidence presented today become part of the public record, with no confidentiality agreement. You have hidden behind sealed settlements for too long. It is time the public knows who you are and what you have done. Victoria collapses into her chair, shaking. Her lawyer looks as if he would rather be anywhere else in the world. Emma remains standing, tears running down her face. But now they are tears of relief, tears of victory. Judge Judy looks at Emma with something close to warmth. Ms. Rodriguez, you did everything correctly. You documented your work. You kept records. You located other victims and built your case. You refused to be intimidated by money or status. You should be proud of yourself, and I hope you use some of this money to celebrate with your daughter. Because you have taught her one of the most important lessons any parent can teach. Truth and persistence defeat arrogance and lies. Emma's voice is thick with emotion. Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for believing me. Judge Judy's expression softens slightly. Ms. Rodriguez, I did not believe you because you seemed sympathetic. I believed you because you brought evidence. That is what justice requires. Evidence, not emotion. You understood that. Mrs. Ashford Sterling did not. Then Judge Judy looks one final time at Victoria, who is still sobbing into her hands. Mrs. Ashford Sterling, I will leave you with this. You had every advantage life can offer. Money, education, opportunity. And you used those advantages to exploit people who had none of them. You could have been a decent employer. You could have paid fair wages and treated people with dignity. Instead, you chose to be a thief and a liar. That is not a simple mistake. That is a character flaw, and character flaws are far harder to repair than legal problems. The $17,000 you owe is nothing compared to the respect you owe these women as human beings. Get out of my courtroom. We are finished. As the bailiff calls the next case, Victoria stumbles out of the courtroom clutching her designer handbag to her chest, her flawless image destroyed. Emma walks out with her head high. Her cousin Rosa pulls her into a tight embrace. Within hours, the footage goes viral. It spreads across every major social media platform under headlines like, "Judge Judy destroys arrogant rich woman with court records," and "Wealthy woman insults Judge Judy's intelligence and immediately regrets it." In less than 48 hours, the video reaches more than 30 million views. The comments all say the same thing: justice served, karma delivered. Never insult Judge Judy's intelligence. If this story of justice and accountability restored your faith in the system, hit that subscribe button right now. Share this video with someone who needs to remember that documentation beats arrogance, that truth defeats lies, and that Judge Judy always does her homework. Leave a comment below about a time someone underestimated your intelligence or your abilities, because the smartest thing any person can do is respect others, no matter their job title or bank account. Real intelligence has nothing to do with money. It has everything to do with character. Judge Judy proved that today. Emma Rodriguez proved that today. And Victoria Ashford Sterling learned it in the hardest way possible.